value that that someone highlights. So I was just this past week, we were, um, so we're here in Florida, and it's time for Maddie to go to the orthodontist, and we're, not sure, we don't have connections, relationships here, and just trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. And we just gave our good doctor, Dr. Dana Truesdale, a call, and she made a perfect connection for us and linked us up with it. It felt like I was literally at, you know, Dr. Dana's practice in Baltimore because we were working with a similar uh, uh, dentist, and the environment was high. It was a great energy, good people. And I was at that moment, I was just like, thankful for the network. I was like thankful for my sister, and it's always those little those little things you kind of take a step back and say, I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to highlight the fact that we're thankful for folks. And so just wanted to share that. I mean, anybody else, before we dive in further, want to take a second and open up on what they're thankful for and just kind of share gratitude and maybe even say some things that we didn't know. So let's take a second and we'll open up the call now.
Good morning. This is Santa.
Good morning.
I've been bubbling, and I hate that I've been missing out. Just getting back on schedule. In the midst of this season, many of y'all may or may not know, my father passed in July, and that, of course, has been like this huge shift in my family and just life, right? But in the midst of it, just being able to stop and say, okay, I'm thankful that I moved home. I'm thankful for the time that I had with him and had conversations. He and I are very much alike, and we fought. Like, we went back and forth forever, which is why I haven't lived at home forever. My goal at 14 was to get the hell out of Dodge and never come back, right? And being home and not being angry is like proof that therapy works. So that I can go deep there, right? So I did my pre-work so that I could come home and do the work that I needed to do with my father related to healing. Also, the season was listening to God and faithful for that there, so I knew when to come home. When I started seeing all my money from my house sale go into my new place and feeling like I wasn't going to have anything, I stopped and was like, I have to have something. And I decided to go to Africa. And I'm just getting back from that trip. I'm still on crazy time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this call. But that trip was such a pinnacle moment for me. And it just spoke to confirmation. Because I've been so focused on my gratitude in the midst of things that happened. My luggage being lost. I prepared for luggage being lost. I packed extra drugs, shoes, just some things in my overnight. So when my luggage was lost, I was like, okay, whatever. We're going to the park tomorrow, right? And I bought 2 dresses. And I just really kept it moving.
Yeah.
And things that like trivial and in the moment, I just got into a space. None of that crap bothers me. And because I was able to maintain high vibration on like everything, and it just is stupid, nothing caught me. And it was like, I was taking it, I had a ball, I met people, I ran into people I knew, I saw people I knew, someone called me, was like, hey, I'm going to be there. We're literally in the middle of a mountain, in the middle of a jungle, 2 hours from the city, and I hear, hey, girl! And it's somebody from Baltimore. So it was like relationships, connections, and telling people what you're into, what you care about, and letting God lead that. And it's like that was my confirmation moment over and over again. Make connections. Once he said to me, "Hey Santa, every time I think something's wrong, I'm like, oh, what's this thinking of you? You rose above so many things, and you're smiling, you're bringing energy and light, and nobody would know what you're dealing with, and nobody would even know this little stuff that's been going on because of how you handle it." And that just spoke, that was a testimony to me because I've been very intentional about being positive and very intentional about my gratitude practice. And I feel like there were tests happening, and I just kept passing them. And that's the way I want to live my I have to live my life in gratitude. I have to live my life aligned to God's purpose. I can't be in fear. And when we live in fear, we can't live the life that God has created for us. And so that's the thing. When you're in gratitude, you can't be in fear. And so that's a part of this challenge I would like to give back and lessons to everyone else. It's like we can't make decisions out of fear. We have to make decisions in faith. And building and learning how to ask for help when we need it, and recognizing people for being where they're supposed to be and listening to God's word in their life as it ministers to you and yours. So we're in this together. I'm grateful for all of you all individually and collectively as well.
Wow. I mean, the good doctor packed in so much into that. And I got to tell you, Tyson, I was just telling Rhea yesterday, I said, I am so glad Ty took pictures while she was in Africa throughout and just kind of gave us a storyline and shared it, because I there were certain pictures during your time that I literally felt like I was there, and it was just, I told her, I said, listen, we got to go. I was like that, how in the back of your mind, you say you want to do certain things, but it's not until someone else that does it and realizes it and shares the details, you're like, all right, I'm in. And
well, I'm looking at new dates. I'm looking at dates for next year. I'm looking at a whole lot of things. So, and we had a photographer. There's certain things that I'm bubbling, y'all. So let's look at some dates. It's probably gonna be over Christmas or over Easter, so that people have like days off kind of already, because you need 2 weeks. Like you need a week for sure. And at least I went to 2 cities. I went to 2 cities, 2 countries, but you need a week in wherever we're going to be. So
wow.
I'm ready to go back. I'm living there partial year. I'm in on a whole nother level. I came back to snow, so I was pissed. So it just really, that was a whole nother thing. But yeah, I'm looking at dates. I believe everybody needs to go to Ghana. There's some things every Black person in this country just needs to experience, and it just changes everything. It just does.
Wow. Yeah, we got to do it. You let us know if you're planning something and you want to get a group together and it's discounted rates and all that. Come back to the network first. And I know you got a bunch of networks. So I will make sure, how do we sneak in at that top priority? Oh man, but it is just, watching those pictures and seeing you moving and also knowing, I tell you, and this is something, I'm thankful even for you just to even reach out to me and Rhea during your journey with your dad this year, and being able to just be of support in the ways that we only know how to be, and so yeah, it's just, I think that's another factor of being thankful for relationship, because if you're not in relationship with people, you're not able to enjoy those types of intimate and supportive moments throughout that relationship. And so, and I think it's something else for us to, I know a lot of guys, and especially a lot of my good friends over the years, who shy away from relationship, and could be for various reasons early on, that may have, it's like, it's that factor. One, it's kind of like that mental training of, well, I'm a man, I don't need to be in a relationship kind of thing. But it's also a factor of, at some point early, you were hurt and you said, I am never going through that again, or just those factors of, why do I even need to communicate? I may not have the best examples of relationship. And, and even sometimes I get the, into that kind of archaic thinking at times. And then but it's something of a crazy blessing when you're able to fight that and just say, what? I'm diving in. And if we experience something that is not what we were looking for, and it's a bad situation, that we're comfortable in our own skin enough to communicate that and say, yo, that wasn't a good look. But at the same time, when it's a blessing to us, that we're still able to, look our friends in the eye and just say, yo, this relationship is a blessing, and thank you for that. And just going back to what you said, Tysana, and having gratitude in the moment, and as real time as you can. And so I truly appreciate you dropping those jewels on us. I was hoping you would, especially given everything that's been going on over the past month or so. So we appreciate it, and keep us plugged in on what's next for Ghana. I'll tell you what, I'm waiting for Disney to pump some money to create a whole Wakanda world in Ghana, right? I'm like, that is happening. And the beautiful coastline. I mean, I'm like, that needs to be, just like we go to the Caribbean, there needs to be a whole marketing push to get condos and vacation rentals and all of that in Ghana, or anywhere along the coastline in Africa. So that's another idea that has been popping up in my head. But no, we'll appreciate that. Anybody else? Let's take a second. Let's open up the call. Anybody else would love to kind of take a second and just open up and share and give thanks on this particular day? We'll open up the call now.
Good morning, Byron.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? First of all, Dr. Alexander absolutely loves your family, loves you all. So she thanked me for sending y'all, so it was a good fit on both ways. And I'm happy that Maria was adamant and pressed about it, because she's a really good friend of mine who I hadn't connected with in so long.
Oh, wow.
But in dental school, both our last names started with an A, so we sat next to each other all the time.
Wow.
So just thank you for reconnecting that, because we got on the phone and talked for hours and hours. And I was able to help her with some stuff. She was able to help me with some stuff. So it just rekindled an old thing that, I just miss my girl.
Wow.
So I'm thankful for the reconnecting of that friendship. And it's like we never lost contact with her sister. Her sister was murdered, basically. And she just kind of fell off, because it was just she and her sister. So to hear the resurrection, like to hear that she's so much better now. Like she's my friend again. Like she's that person. She's, thought through healing, and we just worked through a lot of stuff together. And I'm just thankful for the reconnection to your family.
Oh. All
right, second. Ty, like December next year, I'll be ready to go. Easter is too close to my sister's graduation. She wants to go somewhere out of the country or whatever. But I'm super psyched.
Yeah.
Just because you went to Africa. So I got to go back and get caught up on the pictures to see what I missed, because I didn't even know, because I kind of fell off a little bit too with this other practice and just juggling everything that's going on in my life. But I'm super thankful for fellowship, friendships, networking. I've been rocking with this group for, I don't know, since pretty much the beginning. I don't even know, but my network has grown so much. And this is home base. Like, this is home base. And I'm not going to disconnect at all, because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But it's with quality people. So I now pick and choose who I want to deal with, who I want to have conversations with. Hell, even patience. So I thank God for the maturity that has happened over the years. Example, had a patient to come in, and like just very nasty demeanor. And I, at some point in time, I would tolerate whatever, just because I believe the customers are first and blah, blah, blah. But I've learned over the years that, no, I'm first. Because it's more than me and 3,000 of them.
That's right.
And I treat people the same. I love people. leaving reviews or whatever. I just welcome everybody. But I was met with something that, didn't feel comfortable. The vibe was off. And basically compared me to her other dentists, and when presented with the prices, she was like, "Whoa, this is Baltimore. This is not the Potomac. Why should it be this?" So my response in the past would have been, "Oh, help me to understand."
Yeah.
But my response that day was, I just got up and walked out, and I never came back. And so she asked my assistant, "Is Doc coming back?" And she said, "No, Doc doesn't go back and forth with anybody anymore."
Yeah.
It's just time to go. But it felt so good to just walk away. And so I thank God for that maturity, because it was really stressing me out trying to cater to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not everybody else's house. It's just my house. So thank God for maturity and being able to make good, sound business decisions like that, because that really messed up the vibe of the whole practice. So I've learned to protect this house, and I thank God for my children. My children are finding their own way. They're not asking me for money anymore. So that's a oh man, this is a wonderful feeling. But yeah, and then just health and wholeness. I thank God that while my husband went through COVID, we were unscathed, and I've seen people while they were active in COVID and didn't know, they didn't know, and God spared me, So I thank God for all of that, all of the preparedness. I thank God for people listening. I thank God for just life more. It felt good putting energy behind that.
Yeah.
And like my prayer was, God, I want to meet the governor. I want to meet the governor. But I was thinking Larry Hogan. But God always gives you more than what you ask.
That is so real.
I wanted to meet the governor, but God had bigger plans. And this is just one example. And the governor now knows me.
That's right.
Knows me. First name, last name, affiliation.
Yeah.
Great friends with his wife. So trust God. He always knows better. He sees so much more than what we can see. So that's what I'm thankful for. A growing relationship with the Father. Growing relationship with my network, my mentors. I got to get back with Bonnie and Chuck because I make with them. But yeah, that's that.
Wow. I think the one thing that you shared, especially when and just thinking about how our prayers are, because when things when we start praying for stuff, it's like, and also on one side of your mind, you're kind of trying to orchestrate how that prayer should play out. And God's like, wait a second, well, if you already know what you're praying for, then just go do that. But I got something else for you. And it's one thing to just kind of, know a governor and know about the cabinet positions and things like that. It's another to help create a governor. And that's some God stuff right there, to say, we're not going to just get you on a first name basis. We're going to have you help create a governor. And that's another level, right? And I think that this goes back to the value of relationship. The value of relationship with God and how you treat that relationship, the value of relationship with people and how you treat those relationships, and the value of the relationship that you have with yourself and how you treat yourself. Because I guess all of us at some point in time could highlight a moment and periods of time where we just gave so much that we neglected all of us, the relationship you have with yourself. And you look back and say, why do I feel this way mentally, spiritually, physically? And it's just that lack of one-on-one investment. And we have to ask us, what does that mean to be in relationship with ourselves, and being able to, have this goal for yourself and know if you're working toward that. And it's just a blessing when you can feel comfortable enough to invest in you and know that a better you is going to create better relationships, whether it be with our kids and our spouses, all of that. And we can't neglect us in that process, and I remember growing up in the church, man, and you would have, it seemed like there were some folks who would come every Sunday with the same wailing prayer. And I used to always, as a little boy, I was like, wondering, it's like, I'm pretty sure God hears that prayer. Question is, what are you doing when we walk out of this church? When we walk out of this church, what are you doing to strengthen and better your situation from relative to that wailing prayer? And that's that relationship, that we have that unique trust, that if we're in relationship, then let's go to work on us at the same time. Let's not just be waiting around. What you do next, God? Like, questions, what are we doing for ourselves to go to work if we truly are in relationship? And so it's just a blessing. I'm so glad you shared that, Dr. Dana. And I want to say, I'm definitely just thankful for our relationship, and over the years, I think it's probably we've been hosting this call for 10 years with me. You've probably been on for 9 because I think when we met, and me and Paz was still just, we were so just heavy into learning more, and we were traveling for personal development at that time, and met Dr. Dana in New Orleans, and so it's just it's amazing how the universe works, and to be able to continue to this relationship. What'd you say?
I think it's been 10 years.
It's been 10?
I think it's been about
probably
right at 10 years.
Probably right at 10 years. That's right. Wow. I love it. Anybody else? I told you I'm going to get you guys out of here around 8 because I know they're going to start ringing this doorbell in a few minutes here. But anybody else want to open up and share and give thanks before we dive in further on this call? We'll open up the call now.
See, so I don't want, I have stuff to be, obviously many things to be more grateful for, but as we were talking and as I was listening, to Dana and Tazana, it was something that came to me from when a guy I was listening to this week said something very interesting that touched me. And it was about gratitude, and, obviously it's Thanksgiving, so everybody's fired up, about being grateful, right? So he had said that it was like gratitude is action. Those two words together were two my favorite words, right? But the way he broke it down, which I thought was so interesting, was like, the thing that if you're really grateful for something, you should be putting action or effort into it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's right. And so he was like, if you're not putting energy and effort into it, are you really grateful for it? It's challenging. These old, no shirt off dudes standing in front of you. If you really can, but but I felt them because I was like, yeah, that's right. So you start thinking about, are you grateful for, your family? Yeah. Well, are you putting effort into making sure that that you're intentional about your actions towards them, that kind of thing. So all these things that you are, obviously you're grateful for, waking up this morning. I'm grateful for good health. Well, are you doing all the things that you could be doing, for health? Are you paying homage to the vessel that you're living in right now? All that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, that's right. So the things that we're grateful for, as we talk about them, we should be doubling down on the activity around them to kind of pay homage and to actually be, to show your gratitude in a way. And I was like, wow, that's a thing. And I said that to say that as I was thinking about that statement and then hearing at what everybody was saying about what they were grateful for, they were. You know what I'm saying? So Dana's like, hey, I'm grateful that I know the governor. Well, you're putting effort into being involved in the campaign, and developing a friendship. And that's just one and all those other things that we talk about. But I was just thinking about that, how the two go together, how it creates that same cycle. I'm grateful for something, I put effort into it, I got more things to be grateful for, so I put more effort into it, and I got more things to be grateful for, and I put, and it's just a beautiful cycle, a beautiful system that God got set up. So just a thought about what y'all were saying. I'll let somebody else, keep feeding me. Who else is grateful about something? Keep getting them, D. We at the table. Nobody eats until everybody says.
No turkey, no sweet potato pie until everybody says. Oh man, that's what's up. Well, I say I'll definitely quickly open up again before, but I want you to eat. I want you to eat. So let's take a second and open up the call now. All right, guys, along this same line is really what I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to keep it brief the next 10 plus minutes and just really talk about what I think on a more personal level has helped me to stay in a mindset of what we call kind of like that personal self-development throughout, kind of that long-term, the long-term personal self-development. And what is that process? And here recently, as you guys all know, as we've been going through this transition from Maryland to Florida, and then with that is still active is a lot of stuff in between that, whereas back in Maryland, once a month, meeting, actually waking up and renewing old relationships in this area. So traveling more throughout the state and even in Georgia and Alabama, new school for the daughter, just a whole new environment back in a state that I hadn't been in 25 years. So many different new things going on. And with that, new experiences, new terrain, all of that can come a lot of stress and things that could easily, things that are abnormal, if you will, especially when you make a step away from your norm and from what and what's working and what has worked for a while, and you take a step away from that and you're trying to now create a new normal, that process between what was normal and what you're hoping to create a new normal, that gap in between could easily bring high anxiety, stress, frustration, dare I say even depression if it's not, if you're not able to get to the other side as soon as you'd love to. And we've had all of those experiences, it's that management between your emotions and your physical space and what you're working toward, but may not be here. And so what's your mental throughout that process when you are going from where you are to where you want to be? And I've been working on this for a while. And I think that even when we think about this particular network, one of the things that I always challenge with, and when we finish up calls and I think about, what did people hear? Because I know what you're getting ready to go into. And so, as soon as the call is over, you're going to go back into life. You're going to go back into your objectives of growth and personal development and creating more and accomplishing goals. And I know what comes with that. What comes with that is the challenge of accomplishment and trying to create processes and people not wanting you to make change into change, and systems trying to get in the way of your progress. And one thing that I just always I think it works well for me in business, but I think it's so important for us to have like a system, or if you will, like an equation to use to help you know where you're going, know what processes you're using, and know where you are in that process. And so, as you saw in the marketing, I put together this success equation, which is what I use to help me recognize, one, this is the process I'm using to get to where I'm trying to go, regardless of what this new endeavor is, this new pursuit, whatever this new objective is. I'm going to follow a process to help me get there. And it's going to help me measure where I am, how well am I doing to get there, that process too, because I can tell you, I think about times throughout my life when I was going through something and I didn't, and I hit a brick wall and I couldn't fully articulate why. You know, I couldn't really outline why isn't this working? You know, what's really going on right now that I'm not making progress? And so this equation that I've been using is called the success equation. I coined it that, but I look at it from this process to help me to be successful as to the things that I'm pursuing. And that first one starts with ideas. And it's ideas plus the work times faith equals success. Ideas plus the work times faith equals success. And when we think about ideas, you know, we have like random ideas. You know, maybe it's something that's associated with what you already know and understand. And you just kind of thought about a different version or something that could add more of an additive to something that's already in motion, if you will, something that you already fully kind of get. But we always have those moments. Well, I shouldn't say always, but you know, there are those times when you have those moments where you get inspired or you have an idea that is just like beyond what you've experienced before. It could even be beyond what you've even heard someone else talk about. But for some, you know, unique reason, it resonates with you. It feels right. Like, I know I've never done this. I know I've never really heard anybody talk about this, but this feels like it's possible. This doesn't seem impossible. And I always coin or look at those moments as God speaking to me. You know, that those divine moments where I've been inspired, and I quickly go back to gratitude when I'm inspired in that way. So thank you, God, for even talking to me, because I needed that. I needed that inspiration. I needed to be able to see something a different way. You know, I needed to be able to open my mind in ways that I didn't realize I even was possible. You know, so just that quick thankfulness. And then you go from thankfulness right into, okay, let's unpack this idea and figure out how can we turn nothing into something. You know, because you know, once it hits your mind, it is now something, right? It's something to you. But prior to that, it wasn't a thing. So how do we turn nothing into something? And so many of us, we have these things that are something to you because they're in them. It's in your mind, but it's not real yet to anyone else. They don't know. They can't get into your mind. Like the other day, we met with a sister who was helping us out with the house, and she was like, "If I could just get you to see what's in my mind," and I was like, "Ooh," you know, my brain just was like, "I would love to just be able to see what you see because I can't see it just on my own. That's why you're here to help me see what I can't see." But the power of ideas and being willing to pursue something that you know may not be associated with your normal life, with your current life. And I can tell you, we all know people, and we could very well have been that person, and could be that person right now, who just does not do well in new things. Or if it's going to be something new, it better be kind of a slow burn, right? It better not be anything that we have to like, it changes everything immediately. It's like, okay, we're going to gradually move into this kind of space. But I don't want us to be afraid of that newness, especially if you are fired up and inspired by it on a day-to-day basis. If it's reaching you mentally and it's not tapping into your emotions and your spirit, but you're just afraid to open it up to the world because of, that old, I shouldn't say old, but, that part of you that loves, consistency and loves, I don't really want to use the word comfort, but to be in that comfort zone and say, we have a good thing going right now. Why are we bringing in something else new? But to be, trusting yourself enough, be in a relationship enough with yourself to say, we can do this. And not only can we do it, we should do it. We got to do this to be able to really reach some of those bigger goals and objectives that you set out for yourself. So I just want to highlight the fact of the value of ideas and the role it plays in this success equation. And so when you go from the process of saying, I'm willing to turn nothing into something, and the only way you can do that is to go to work. And there's that, I always go back and forth between, when we talk about work versus the work, because we can go to work and work hard at anything, but are you working in a way that is necessary to accomplish the goal? And the question is, what are the models that you're using to be successful? How do you know the work that you're doing is going to accomplish what you're actually trying to accomplish? And if you don't have a clean direction or a model that you're using, a successful model, because a lot of times we're working because somebody said, this is the way you got to do it. I'll say, well, okay, before I get the sweating on this, have you created success in what you're telling me to do? Show me the fruit so I can know that this is a process that makes sense. And two, if you're going down the road of doing something that's never been done before, and you're creating a new path, then what is the necessary work that you'd have to do to make sure you're going in the right direction? And for those of you who are pioneers, and who have that pioneering spirit to go down a new road that's different from anyone else, to be in relationship with yourself and your creator is so important, because if you don't, you won't have a guide to get you through where you need to go. You won't have a model. You won't have a roadmap. You have to be in relationship to be able to know what work you should be doing. But it's so important, because this is where most people fall off, is either one, not doing, not finishing the job. They start working and say, oh, this is too much. I got so many other things. I need to shift my attention to this, or whatever the case may be. And that piece of the equation becomes minimized. And if you minimize the work, the actual stuff you have to do every day, then the likelihood of you accomplishing those goals becomes, much less likely. And, it's this whole aspect of process. I've in recent years, process has become so important. I was a guy, like, especially some of you who know me, for a long time, process and organizing and all that stuff. And I was like, man, whatever. Like, what process? Man, let's just go do this, right? Let's think big and go do. But listen, if you're, it's one thing to get people revved up and motivated and excited and fired up. It's another to go and do the work after everyone's fired up, and having a guide and a roadmap and a process that not only I can follow, but I can also articulate to someone who was like, hey man, that was a great speech. What now though? So, what now? Because I want to do it, but I have no clue what to do first. So process involved in the work, and making sure that the work is lined up with the success model, with examples that can show you where you're going. And that leads into, if you're committed to being available, and your mind and your spirit available to welcoming ideas, and you are committed to doing the necessary work, if you multiply that energy, that activity, that practical process that you're going through with faith, it puts you in a position where it's almost impossible for you to fail, because at that point, faith is that factor when you're willing to go hard for something that's not here yet. But because somewhere in there, you just have this trusting of the process, trusting in yourself, and more importantly, in my view, to be able to have that trusting relationship with your creator, that I was created to do a unique work. And this is me living that out, to know that that's part of it, that you are in relationship pursuing your life's work in various forms. It's like one quarter you could be focused on one thing, and the next quarter you're focused on another. But from a grand scheme perspective, it's all part of your life's work. Some people may not understand it because they don't, may not know you intimately, but that you are checking off boxes relative to your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, things that you want to immerse yourself in, the type of people you want to associate with, the type of impression you want to make in this world while you can still breathe. That it's part of your grand scheme. Other people may not know that. And at the end of the day, as long as you and God know that you've made yourself available to do the work that you've been told to do, and whether it be, a lot of times we fight and say, oh, I don't want to do that. Why? And then you start going down that process like, oh, now I see why. Because that just opened me up to this world, which is something I've always wanted to get access to, but I didn't realize I was going to get access to it through this direction God was telling me to go, and so we have to get out of like that mental space of saying, that the logic versus the spiritual. It's like there's only so much that we know, and we don't have infinite capacity. But if you're in a relationship, you have access to infinite capacity as long as we allow that trusting relationship to flow. The give and take, knowing what it is that you have to do and knowing how to trust God through the process. And I was talking to Paz, I guess it was yesterday, about this, and it was just the whole factor of when emotions get in the way of it, like when your emotions, who could care less about this process you've set up, when your physical man, right, says, yo, I'm not doing this. I hate this. This is not good. I don't feel good. This is not working for us. Who do you listen to at that point? Most people give up. Most people give up when the body says no. Body says no. You start feeling tense, anxiety, all these things. Most people said that it wasn't for me, and I stopped. And I think it's important for us to just know where we are in the process. If we're following an equation, and let's just say even at the ideas stage of that equation, and you're inspired about it, and you love thinking about it, you start getting out your notepad like I was talking about on the last call, and you start writing it down and all that, and it's so great until it's time for you to start doing it. So that's that kind of that jumping off phase from the end of ideas to making it real. And that step, because you've never done it before, because your subconscious mind says this isn't something that we normally do, so why are you doing this? It's kind of those firewalls that start going off, and your body gets tense and all those things, and you feel upset, and then other people might be affected by your decisions, and they are tense and they're upset and they're frustrated. At what point do I will tell you, most people say, no, I wasn't. I saw my wife crying. She was upset. I'm not about to continue with this. My husband went off. He was going off. This was not, I can't keep going with this. I can't keep this. I can't keep up this process. And we just have to know that you have to measure where you are in the process. Where are you in this equation right now when you're feeling like this, when your best friend, your business partner, your spouse is feeling a certain way, they're upset about it. Where are you? And if you're still in the ideas phase and you're just trying to jump into the work, how do you address it there? If you're in the work and it's affecting other things, how do you address it there? If you're at the point where you feel like you don't really have a faithful relationship and with yourself, with your creator, where you're weak on faith, how do you address it there? But we have to be able to take a step back and at least have an equation that we're looking at so we can measure where we are relative to where we're trying to go. And if we don't have that, then the question is, what is your process? I'm throwing this one out because this is what I use. But if you don't say, well, these that don't make no sense to me. I say, okay, great. What's your process? And as long as you have something that you're using to measure where you are, that's stopping you from giving up on your goals, I'm like, let's go. Perfect. I have my financial planning clients, and when we finally hit that topic of budget, right? And money management, and I lay out my strategy and say, Dees, I don't know, man, I this is what I use. I was like, okay, great, let's take a look at it. It's like, okay, yeah, that's what I've been using, right? I put this away and that away. Cool. I was like, okay, great. How much do we have any debt? You still in debt? Yeah, I'm still rocking on a little debt, trying to figure that piece out. I was like, well, what is your equation? What is your current plan? How does your current plan address debt? Because that seems to be the factor in your financial plan. How does your current plan address the debt situation? Ooh, I hadn't figured that part out yet. And so it's this, we got to make sure that if we do have a system that we're using, that it works. I could walk outside right now and go to my car. Ooh, that's a pretty car. It looks beautiful. Can it drive though? Can I get in that car and start it and go somewhere? Or does it just look good but it serves no useful purpose, right? And I want to make sure that if we have a process that we're using, a success equation, something that's helping us to get from here to there, from idea to goals, that we're using it and it helps us. It actually is a useful resource for our current life today. Especially, you want to make sure it's a useful resource for what it is your future assignments. Those assignments that are next level. You have experience in accomplishing the goals that you've made up to this point, that you've set up to this point. Your current reality, you have experience in that. But do you feel confident that your process, that your equation, that the process that you use to accomplish goals, that it will help you for the next level? And as long as you know what it is, and it's been working for you, keep moving in that respect. But if you don't have an equation and you don't have a process, then I wanted to share mine with you today for this call, as it could be helpful. And I'm more than happy to have kind of one-on-one time and just kind of share and unpack it in more detail, especially, and make it a bit more personalized for what's going on in your life, and talk through how it can easily be applied to your life now. And we can kind of look at a growth model and how does it help you to win and be successful in your current goals that you're working on. So wanted to share that with you guys for this call. It's been on my mind all this whole month as I've been measuring myself and relative to the goals that I've set out for myself and my family. And when I get, red hot, and, upset, mad, frustrated, anxiety, all those different things, I said, okay, Dees, where are you in the equation? Where are you? What's next? What went wrong? What didn't you do? What is it time to do that you haven't done yet? And it's just good to be able to have that resource, And I always, if I'm looking, especially when I get to that faith piece, and I'm like, okay, let me dig for a scripture or something that could just help me wake up. Or if I'm in the work phase and I'm looking back to an example or a model of a successful model and a person who's done this before, how do I connect with them to tap into their where they were at that particular time that could provide me some guide, or some guidance in this process, and so it's a good thing to have especially for those of you who are really ambitious around your personal development and not slowing down on the goals that you've set for yourself. It's such a valuable resource to have a model, a process, an equation that you use. Some people who are like very technical, who are tech kind of mindset, they love equations and variables and okay, great, that's what's happening, right? And so whatever it takes for you to see it in the way that makes most sense to you, let's do that, because the final and the main objective is that you create a lifestyle, like Tysana mentioned earlier, that your lifestyle becomes this ongoing, moving, flow of progress where you're checking and you're able to measure and notice and celebrate your growth ongoing. And that is exciting to see in so many ways. It's exciting for me, and I know it's exciting for folks who are going through it directly and personally. And so, anybody have any questions or comments on this success equation that I've kind of shared with you guys here on the call? And in any form or fashion of this process. If you have any questions, let's take a second and open up the call now.
Hey, good morning. This is Lawrence.
My brother. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I agree with Taz as normal. When we get together, around Thanksgiving, we all hold hands and, we talk about, what we're thankful for, which is, God, family, the food. But, again, sometimes you just have to step out and let people know, the things that you're thankful for that others may not be aware of. We tend to know that we're thankful for the norm. But for me, I'm thankful for you guys, man. This call has really, propelled me a lot further than I ever thought I could. Just stepping out on faith. You guys are like gasoline for me, man. When I got on this call, I don't even know, but I know it's been at least 6-7 years.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I know that because when I first got on the call, I was like Larry the landscaper. I was Larry the maintenance guy. And now I'm Lawrence the clinician, and I was transforming from, one field of work to another. I was going from where I was to what I wanted to be. And I'm at that point now where, I'm doing what I love. And, I sit back and I'm on the call. Man, I rarely miss a call, if ever. And I just sit back and I just listen to you guys, and I think I might be like the oldest one on this call, so to listen to young people, I'm 57, man. And I made this transition over the past 7-8 years.
Oh, that's a good point.
So to listen to a lot of you guys and the young ladies and where you are and your professions and where you've been and what you're doing, I'm like in awe. And instead of being envious, I'm like, man, I could do that too. I could do that. So, you guys have really just, put a fire under me. You made me believe in myself more than I thought I could or had, previously.
Wow.
And the other young lady, I don't want to mess her name up, but I'm going to call her Lady T. When she talked about her dad and the changes she went through, right?
Yeah.
My mom was my best friend who passed, several years ago. And I poured all that love into my mom, into my dad. And, he made me the man I am today. But we always had that rocky relationship because I was just like that dude. I'm just like my father. So when you see yourself, you know, and I get angry at some of the things he do and say how he is, and then I also recognize that's me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So to be mad at him, I'm like, that's you. So, but my point is, man, over Thanksgiving, my wife had to work. So I was like, okay, I had a few family members were like, okay, you can come on over here, you know, break bread with us. And I knew that my stepmom, she went to Virginia with her daughter, which is my sister. And I knew my dad was going to be home alone. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go spend some time with my dad. I'm going to stop over someone's house, grab us a couple of plates, and go over there, because his wife prepared dinner for him, but it wasn't the traditional Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah.
But he was okay with it, right? So I said, I'm gonna surprise him. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna grab some plates for him and I. So it didn't turn out that way, because everywhere I went, they were like, dinner not ready. We're not eating. And I'm like, man, I don't want to wait till 6, 7 o'clock to go spend time with my dad.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Forget it. It ain't even about the dinner. It's about just going spending time with dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I go over here, and unbeknownst to me, a couple of my cousins had told my father they were going to stop past. So I get there, him and I watching the football game, you know, talking and whatnot, you know, having a nice little, you know, intimate conversation. And then my other family members came, and it turned out that was the real, you know, breaking of bread right there, because when they came over, we just spent like 3 or 4 hours together reminiscing, talking about old times. They was telling my father how grateful they were that he was their uncle and how he created who they are today. And for me to hear that, and then I'm telling them my stories, and we grew up a close knit. And I was just, my point is, I wanted to make my father's Thanksgiving memorable, and he made mine.
Oh,
you know, and that's what I'm thankful for, man. And you know, and now over the past few months, he's been having medical stuff, and I've been the one there. I'm his only son. I have 5 sisters.
Wow.
And so for him and I to be bonding at this late age, you know, and I get to see him, you know, in a vulnerable state. And I get to take care of the man that took care of me all my life. And he's so appreciative, and, you know, he tells me that. And what I said to him was, Dad, I could never make any sacrifice bigger than the one that you made for me, and that's giving me a good childhood.
Wow.
And so that's where I am, Byron, and that's what I'm grateful for. So, you know, and again, this call has just transformed me. It then pushed me further than I thought I could ever go. And, you know, I just want to thank you guys and let you all know that I'm thankful for you guys too. And getting back to Taz, here we go again, Taz. It's after the 8 o'clock hour, and I love it too. My man. Thank you. I'm watching the clock, Lawrence. I am watching the clock. I'm down, and he said he was going to get us off early, but you know, it is what it is. I don't even listen to that. Yeah, whatever. Keep going.
Keep going, brother. Keep going.
Right.
Well, Taz, don't be mad at me, because I'm going to add to the conversation.
Oh, here we go.
Keep going. Let's keep it going. Keep it going. No, let's keep it. It's decent, man. He's waiting for somebody to come clean his mansion or wherever he was going. That'd be all right.
The irony is, so many times I can be on a call where I say I'm just going to sit back, but I mean, you all just so inspire me. So, for the little things, and, this is Doretha, and, my normal prayer, when I wake up in the morning, I say, I'm just so thankful just to be able to open up my eyes and see. But I want to say, as I continue to go through challenges, with my mother, who's still in rehabilitation, and she's not going to come home now. It's to that point. And, every day or so where I'm there pouring into her, holding her hand, I just so think back to those people who have lost loved ones, during the COVID situation, that were not able to do that. And I really see, how blessed that I am, because of you all to continue to pour into me. And I just had to say something because I'm the oldest one on the phone. I just had to make y'all recognize that. And that, the challenges around me, as I listen to someone say, doing now what I dreamed of doing. And, by the grace of God, I'm also doing that now, and I didn't even qualify for the position. And I'm a trainer in cyber, and I'm training people in cyber. Instruction is what I love to do, and then it fell on my lap because I wasn't even qualified for it.
Wow.
After talking to a person, they said, "You know what? We've been looking at this the wrong way. You're the kind of person we need to be looking for." And I know that was nothing but God. And again, as family challenges, I have a cousin who came here to see my mother. He arrived last week on Friday about 6:00, but by 9 he was he didn't even get a chance to see it. He's in the emergency room, and now he's been amputated up to the knee. And people say, oh my God, if he had not came here and ended up going, who would have known? But no, the gangrene that set in could have killed him. So I'm nursing, running back and forth, and that's what my life has been the last, almost 2 years, and trying to do for others. But you all do so much. Just the time, it can be. I can call in and it'll be 10 minutes left, and I'm going to get some nuggets. I'm going to get some blessings. It's going to encourage me to keep on going. So truly thankful for this forum, and I'm truly thankful for you all having me recognize again the blessings, even though I'm going, through the storm. There's another side to that, and it's just a blessing. And thank you. I'm so grateful.
And I'm so glad that you shared that, especially you highlighted the fact that when you're going through the storm, you're being there for your mom, and other things pop up, other family members are going through challenges, and the effect that it has on your spirit and your mind and everything that you have going on, the fact that you haven't given up on those goals that you had before the challenges came, and I think that's part of what we really want to highlight, is that we know that challenges are going to come. If it's one thing if when challenges come and you weren't pursuing anything in the first place, and so it's just like you just wallow in the difficulties of what's happening. But if you are already actively working toward your goals and doing the things that you enjoy, doing things that bring you pleasure and that truly you feel like you're giving back and adding value, and you were pursuing that, and then the challenges came, at least your mindset and your energies can still be focused on what it is that matters. And a lot of times I've had conversations with folks who will say, I had to put that to the side because of this or because of that. And when you put that to the side, then now you are putting 100% of your time. The question is are you directing that energy in a progressive way, or are you directing that energy because you're wallowing in the difficulty of the current situation? And I remember when, earlier this year when Tysana would reach out and talk about what was going on with her father and just highlighting the challenges during that time and the whirlwind that was going on, and all the way through, not only to when he passed, but then even this, what she just shared with us now, and that process of pursuing and managing the emotions of it, the whole nine, and so it's just that factor of we have to keep an active foot on the gas relative to the things that we know we're here to do, the work that we're here to do. And if you feel like you don't know what that work is, then put time on that, focus on being able to better understand your purposes and your calling, and what I say is your ministry, the thing that, how you are able to inspire, how you are able to change a situation, because that unique power and gift that you have. And so many times we run into people who say, I don't know what that is. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have that. That's for other people, and have that kind of defeatist spirit around their goals and purpose, because just life has been possibly challenging from an early age and throughout. And I was having a conversation earlier this week with someone. I was like, God will show you what your purpose is based on the things that you love and the things that you hate. Things that you want to pursue and have more of, and things that you want to completely get rid of. And we'll highlight those purposes that we're here to do, because just because you love something and you hate something doesn't mean the person next to you loves and hates that thing. And so that's the beauty of our uniqueness. And there's we're not carbon copy to anybody, but we're here to do a special, unique work in this lifespan. And some of us, who really go to work, your work will live on long after you've left this life, right? And that's perspective. That's perspective. That's perspective when things are going great. That's perspective when things are challenging, and so we just have to have that perspective while we're pursuing our goals, while we're managing the reality of today. And I'm just glad, Doretha, that you shared, where you are in the process and what you're still pursuing and still lending the gifts that you have. And as you like to highlight, even that you're one of the older, I can tell you there's some folks on the call who got you as well, Doretha. So you guys, all of us are young relative to what we're pursuing, so it's a blessing to have some folks who do have some experience, though, and can kind of highlight and share with us who are still going through. And so it's a blessing. And let me tell you something, Lawrence, man, I know you've been on the call, because I see you on the call every time we host. But every time you open up, man, and you start talking about this whole aspect of family and being supportive, especially for your parents at that stage of the life, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And to be able to invest in his life, and have conversations that a lot of times we may not have had when we were younger with our parents, but to be able to share, communicate, and dive in and still show that, the fact that he can see that you intentionally came to be with him, sometimes words don't fully do the job, but the time and experience and the effort, and I'll tell you something else. Some people don't express themselves in a way that they know how to actually say, man, I thank you for that, or I really love what you're doing. Some people think that's just not who they are. And we just have to know when they are saying thank you, even if they're not saying thank you. Because I can tell you that investment that you're making, that time that you're spending, and the effort, that's valuable for you and for him all at the same time. So glad you shared that with us, brother. So glad you shared that with us. All right, folks, that's all I got. We're at 8:30, and I'm watching these trucks come by here. So I'm like, we're going to go ahead and finish this thing up. But before we do, anybody have any questions or comments or just want to share before we finish up the call today? All right. Well, listen, folks. Celebrate, man. Enjoy this Thanksgiving holiday weekend as we're in the holiday season. It is a blessing. It's crazy how when this intentionality around the holiday season can create that energy. And I definitely feel it, especially when you're Thanksgiving. And the next thing all the commercials are in that festive mood. And before you know it, you're knee deep, you're right in, and so let's be very intentional around this time. Use that energy to help further what it is that you feel like you're here to do. Energy is everything. And if you can just kind of ball up that energy and direct it toward the things that you're working on, the things that you believe you're here to do to make a difference, invest in that energy into your family and friends and your the activities that you're working on. Just take advantage of the energy that we have, because it's not always, sometimes we have to force the positive energy in because it could be such a negative situations that are going on and you have to kind of create it. But right now we can grab it and let's stay connected. And if you guys want to talk through certain things, reach out to me, man. Let's connect time. Let's lock in. Definitely continue to go to the website, dreammakersnetwork.org. Let's lock in time. It's a lot of resources there, lots of calls and information and videos and things that keep us inspired, informed too, as well. 2023 is going to be the greatest year in my lifetime. And I hope it's the beginning of so much, but it's going to be the greatest year. And so I'm just excited about this period that we're in right now as we prepare to take things to the next level and building that deeper relationship, again, not only with our friends and family, but having that closer, deeper relationship with our Creator, to just be in that trusting flow, knowing our role, knowing their role, and just making it work. And so happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your family. And we look forward to seeing you on our last call and the last Saturday in December during the Christmas holiday.
And, I'm sorry, Byron. I forgot to tell you. Sorry, everyone. But the last thing, I thinking about the storm. My nonprofit, a couple of weeks ago, we were awarded $55,000. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's how we put it off. 55,000. Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I got 55,000. I have a good weekend. By the way, 55,000.
$55,000.
Yeah.
Add that to your equation, buddy. That is huge. That's the way you end the call right there. $55,000 for the nonprofit, and she's been doing this work, y'all. Like, I mean, it was probably, I think when we met originally, Doretha, maybe about like 5 years ago or so, and you were telling me about the nonprofit, and we were supporting kids get in Michigan and going to college, and who've been through challenging situations and measuring this, how well they're doing semester by semester. I mean, listen, this is real work, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we ain't talking.
Yeah, it is.
These kids, sometimes it's amazing, when you see kids who are able to persevere through stuff that when we think about, like, we're just like, when I look at it, I'm like, wow, thank God for my parents and how they raised me and brought me up, because some of these circumstances are unbelievable that these kids have dealt with at an early age, but they still work hard. They still are athletes. They're still in performing arts. They're still good students, and to be able, but they don't have the resources. They don't have the support system. And Doretha's work over the years have really targeted, kids like this, and people who have earned it, right? But they just don't have the resources. And so to be able to get that type of award shows that you stay committed, even through all that you've already shared with us in personal. And so, man, I'm internally celebrating with you, sister, right now, and keep us plugged in on how we can continue to be supportive, because it's a real thing. And I like how you keep us up to speed on what's going on with those who have received awards and grants and things and scholarships. And so that is a great way to end the call today, sister.
Man, you have, yep. Thank you all for bearing with me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Enjoy the family, and we'll see you next month.
Happy holidays, everyone. Be blessed.
Take care.
Yeah.